Hi. So recently I have made a video talking about signs and things that shows that you have entities in your space. Today, let's talk about how you can deal with them and get them out of your space. So just to go straight to the point, first thing to do is give them a permission to leave. A lot of times these entities get to you, they attach to you for various reasons. One, it starts with your past lives. Before coming here on Earth, you've had a role of, let's say, being a healer. You might have been a guide, a teacher, a mother, a father, daughter or son. And for some people, let's say just today's client I've had, he was a Trucion, a being that would create portals and stargates and allow people to escape the place that would be attacked. And so that being is seen like a taxi. He's going to give someone a ride, help them to get from one place to another. A lot of times this being, it's not just creating portals and stargates, but it's also allowing beings to go through him because he himself is like a portal. So beings coming in never really reach a destination because they get stuck for various reasons. So with that in mind, a lot of things we have done before coming here on Earth sticks as our career. And that's how a lot of beings know us. They will know you as the healer, as the doctor, pilot and navigator and engineer. And still those beings, when you're on Earth, will think that you have that role, that you are that thing. And then they will want to come for you for help. So you will have a bunch of entities and other aspects of people coming to you because they still assume you have that role. There are other reasons like mutual agreements and how you feel and people dropping stuff on you and like tons of little reasons, but eventually you get entities and other aspects of consciousness and beings in your space. Once that happens, you have to give them the permission to leave because they think that they're stuck with you. They're here with you. Like they might not have awareness. They lose the awareness that they can leave and they're just sort of sticking to you or like going for a ride. So all you do is like, hey, anybody that is in my space that wants or even doesn't want to be here, you have my permission to leave. You are free to go. You don't have to stick here. And if you were helping me, doing things for me, thank you so much. I appreciate it. But now it's time for you to go. So just talking to them, giving the permission to leave, and you can even be more specific. Let's say you feel tired today and you simply say, okay, anyone that's in my space that is tired, you can go. You have my permission to leave. Or you feel anxious, you feel worried. So you go, anyone that has, anxiety, anyone that's feeling afraid and is worried, you have my permission to leave. You can go. And with that, a lot of these little beings, like this is like just a little prep I do before going into something deeper, just before I use various other techniques. I'm like, okay, it's just the simplest thing to get the dust off of yourself. You get rid of the dust and simple things you don't need, and then we can go into deeper stuff. Talking about deeper stuff, it's all about your creativity. And one of the things you can use is a galactic vacuum. What's that? Well, it's basically just a vortex of energy, like a funnel cloud. Or think of a vacuum cleaner you have at home, but it's a vortex of energy. And with that, think of that energy as a vortex, like sucking out all of the little beings you do not need in your space. And where you use the like galactic vacuum, or simply think of all of that stuff burning around you, or having the shower and waterfall fall through you. It's all up to your creativity and what kind of thing you used to have happen. But basically, you get them out of your space. You sort of just visualize or think about it or have an intention for this energy to come and take them away. So sometimes as you have this energy thing where, you feel anxious, maybe you feel jealous, like there's this emotion or thought in your space and you feel it somewhere. Where's the jealousy? Well, it's here in the chest, and like I see that like that stuff happening, and the person I love like is doing something else to the other, and like like it drives me crazy, or like miscommunication and other things. So you will feel energy in your space somewhere in your body. It can be like you're trying to talk, but you can't express yourself, and it's your throat. And you're trying to communicate, and maybe it's your head, like so like let's say chakra points and meridians and other things, you will have this feeling. So like, where am I feeling this? yeah, here. It just feels like this energy, anxiety, or this part of me that's afraid. Maybe it's the stomach, maybe it's like other parts. So you just sort of like guide your hand and find the place where it feels like, yeah, that's where this energy is coming from, this feeling that I have. And you sort of like think of a galactic vacuum or even fire or something else, even machine gun or like a, I don't know, katana, like whatever you would like. And just think of that energy leaving your body. Like think of that, like put an intention, like, yeah, I'm just gonna suck it all out and just get away from it. Maybe put them in the galactic vacuum and for transmutation, galactic core and other things, like whatever you can think of. And with that, moving to another thing. A lot of times these entities stick to you, again, because of your roles and how they see you. But sometimes, you're just passing by some people and they're not feeling good, but you're an empath and you feel other people. So the pain they have, you're going to connect to them, you're going to feel them. And that allows other entities to get into your space. Any kind of way of communication, of connecting to people, you look someone in the eye, you have an eye contact, it's like opening the door. And even though you might not talk to others, just that look, just that connection, like going and walking, like passing them by and like sort of feeling their energy is a connection. And a lot of entities, like if that person is not doing good, and if they have some entities, they might jump to you. It will not happen all the time. It's more like they have to relate to how you're feeling. So maybe you've had a bad day. Maybe, someone's like just causing you the road rage or taking your parking place and like I wanted to park my car there and it didn't happen, or like you didn't get your salary or something else happens, and you have that trigger, but you're trying to be a decent human being and trying to hold it in and not react, and then people will walk with the same kind of feeling, something different happened to them, but they will meet you on that. Maybe they're angry, maybe they're fearful, maybe something else happens in their space. Like right now my dog's barking, so like I'm trying to make a good video and that's a little aggravating. And with that, I'm like, okay, aggravated. If I was passing by someone else that's, feeling something similar, where like they have this like hard little energy, their entities could simply jump on me because I feel that, and we have mutual feelings. We have mutual sort of like, yeah, I'm sort of irritated right now, and they're irritated, so they're gonna jump to me. And with that, I want to identify the beings in my space, the emotion I feel, the thoughts I have. If it's irritation, anxiety, fear, jealousy, you will have that emotion where, yeah, I just doubted. I do not believe the certain stuff. So once you have like specific feeling, or like, okay, I know what I'm addressing, then you basically like have this energy, like, or like entity cluster. It's not just one little being jumping to you. It's just like a lot of little thought forms. They like form a little, let's say, pyramid. Like they might have a little leader, but they're gonna have a lot of minions and all this stuff. So you can like, hey, any beings in my space that has this anxiety, they're feeling exhausted or tired or lazy, that don't want to do anything in life, that are bored shitless, and there are other kind of things you can feel in your life. Think of creating a little world for them, because they stick to you for various reasons, and sometimes they will have someone above them, like a higher up. You have a boss, you might have a lieutenant or someone else. So these entities too have someone above them. And what happens is their boss might not really like you. They want to trigger you. They want to mess with you because they kind of see you as a prisoner, or, hey, you're a threat. You're a creative, powerful being that can make an impact in the world. And if you feel like, like, hey, I'm here to do something grand, I wanted to affect the world one way or the other. And these entities, like, they stick to you to distract you, to trigger you, to get you like, hey, focus on something else. And with that, okay, well, these entities that I'm feeling in my space, I'm going to create a world for them. And so simply think of like, okay, a scenery. If you were to take a vacation, where would you like to go? And you think of like, maybe, well, I would like to go to somewhere warm on the beach. And that's kind of like relaxing and all. Great, that's your location, you get the idea. Maybe you like the waterfall. Maybe you like going hiking and into like the mountains and the hills and the forest and everything else. So you will have this idea, a scenery. And these entities, they need home. You can offer them a location where they can be free of their bosses and all. And once you give them sort of like, okay, I have a scenery in mind. This is where I want these beings to go. And you can be very creative. A school where they can learn, where they can get better, or simply like, hey, I don't like them and I want to get rid of them and I have no interest in helping them out. Fuck it. So think of like a place where you would send them, where you would send your enemy or someone you hate. Well, For all I know, they can burn in hell. So you can sort of like even literally imagine hell place, like whatever hell is to you. But where you're being creative, where you're giving them a school or a place to be in torture, you sort of like think of that. Okay, scenery, the pictures, maybe the rules of that realm, or simply have an idea, and you give them an invitation. Hey, beings in my space, entities, anyone that is lazy, or that is feeling jealous, or that is tired, or that does not know the answer, does not know what to do in life, and whatever issue you are facing in life, you can sort of treat it as like, okay, let's being specific about what you're facing and feeling currently, and that emotion, that feeling, that little thing that's going on to you, you make it into an entity cluster. Like, hell, I hate math. I don't like math. I don't know and I don't understand math. So that can be an entity cluster, and invite this entity cluster that hates math, doesn't understand math, doesn't want to look at it at all, or hates clowns, or feels afraid if something happens, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, okay, well, that feeling, that thing that's going on in your life, you choose that. And any entities related to that feeling. So you have this place in mind and you get an invitation. Hey, anyone in my space that's feeling anxiety, depression, that's feeling tired and exhausted, here's a place you can go to. You're going to be free. You can do whatever you want. Or you're simply like, hey, motherfuckers, I hate you and I don't want you in my space. And you put an intention like this cluster, like get the hell out. And you drop them in there and you get them out of your space. But eventually you clear yourself from that. It's one of the things. It will definitely like maybe not clear your whole world, but it can definitely help you out. So with all of these ways to deal with them, there's another thing, something similar, getting rid of entities and putting them somewhere. And what we do is we create this little box where we're going to trap them. So think of a box, okay? Just like this little cube, right? You have top and bottom, the front and sides and everything and back. So this little box you have, or any other shape you can think of that you like, think of, again, entities in your space. Feelings you don't like or events happening. Like, I feel like I'm constantly being watched and I don't like that. So anyone that's stalking me, looking at me, anyone's in my space that I would not like them to be here, but they're here, just think of that energy, feeling, thought, and sort of like you can even use your hands and as if you were going to put them in a box and sort of like, yep, there you go. This like feeling of like frustration in the box. Or, you know, you can choose specific subject in life, maybe your health, finances, or like, okay, I have a fear of being abandoned. So that's a huge subject, right? But then, okay, well, what about being abandoned? Well, you know, like I constantly have thoughts that people will leave me and I'm going to be alone and, you know, like I'm not understood and I'm not appreciated. And no matter what I do, I will never get that recognition, or no matter how much I give, I'm never going to get anything back. So you will have certain thoughts about a subject, like, you know, like, hey, you want to get out of body, but nothing's working. So we can have an issue like can't get out of body. And what about that issue? Well, I don't have visuals. I'm never able to get out of body. I feel like I'm stuck in here. I can't get out. So a lot of these feelings and thoughts you have, you can sort of like, yeah, what if it's an entity cluster that can't get out of your body? They're stuck in your space and you're sort of like having misidentification, you know, like, hey, well, this might be their issue, but you're intuitive, you're empathic, you feel them, and their beingness becomes part of you because they're stick to you. So it's kind of like becomes your issue. But you can literally, like anyone in my space that cannot get out, that is stuck here, that has no visuals, that is too lazy to do any techniques to get out of body, yada, yada. So you like all of these ways. So you just like put it all in the box, close the box, top and bottom, size, front, back, and everything else. And then cut the cords, any connection you have with these beings. Hey, you can have parents that weren't good to you. Parents like maybe were suppressive, they did not allow you to speak up, they will not allow you to have an opinion, maybe they abused you, and whatever pain they have caused you in your life, like, hey, my mom, like, what a fucking bitch, I really don't like her. And then you just like put like aspects of that beingness that you don't like about her. Like maybe she was constantly taking money from you. Maybe you have abusive, toxic females in your life, so to speak, that are constantly after your money and will, you know, like lie to your face and will like try to manipulate you. Or you might have men in your life that are gaslighting you and like constantly are narcissistic and psychopathic, and they will lie to your face and pretend that they want your love, but then slap you on the face and other things. So, variety of those things. You put them in a box, and then the connection you have with that being, like, yeah, maybe it's your parents, maybe it's your siblings, maybe it's your boss or someone else. And you sort of like imagine like sort of like pulling those cords out, the connection you have them disconnect, like pulling it out, like Neo in Matrix. You want to unplug yourself from that, cut it, whatever ways you can imagine, and again shove it all in the box. And that box, you can imagine just burning it all to pieces, like just it's all disappearing, it's all gone, not even ashes are left. Or again, using the galactic vacuum to like get that box out of your space. And so just like entrapping those beings and feelings and connections you have, it does give you some sort of relief. It might not solve all your world problems that you have, but that relief and some of the entities you will have in your space, you can get them out, and might be a little bit helpful. So another thing that you will want to try out, and it goes in lots of ways, is communicating to these entities or revoking the agreements you have with them. If we would choose to communicate with them, think of like, okay, well, I do have this, let's say, I don't know, what kind of issue can I address right now that you can relate to? Maybe, for example, some people want to get out of body, but they can't get out of body. So any entities in my space that can't get out of body, from your perspective, what seems to be the problem? And the entity says, like, you might have a thought, you might have a feeling, you will just have knowingness, or like, yeah, I just feels like, it's my voice maybe, or like as if you thought it, but the answer comes one way or the other. So, like learning how to get the answer would be a thing. But let's say you ask like, hey, so entities that can't get out, they want to get out of body, but they're stuck within you. From your perspective, what seems to be the problem? And they're like, hell, I don't even know how to get out. Am I supposed to fly? I don't know how to fly. I'm stuck with you. And, like, you're not letting me go either. So you would have a conversation, just being curious. It's as if you're talking to a friend, or, like a person is in trouble and they have an issue and you're there to listen and help. So you put your auditors at. You're not going to comment about your life. You're not going to be judging. Like maybe you have an entity in your space that's feeling anxiety. Or like, hey, I constantly have doubt. Things are never going to get better. So any entities in my space that think that things are never going to get better, or things that I'm trapped, or there's no way out of this, or I'm completely alone, nobody wants to talk to me, whatever issue you have in your life, you address it as if it was an entity cluster with that issue. Maybe it's an aspect of you too. Maybe you have that part, like that personality that thinks that way, and you address it. So, okay, part of me that might have jealousy issues, part of me that has low self-worth, part of me that has like issues with self-love. Okay, well, me, that is, or like you talk about yourself, and like, so okay, you that like has self-love issues. From your perspective, what seems to be the problem? Well, I don't even know what love is. Oh, really? Well, tell me more about that. And you literally ask them more questions, various questions. It's just like, you just have to be interested. Try to ask whatever you would feel that would give you answers, or that would help that beingness, where there's an entity, some other aspect of you or others stuck to you. You just like try to have them get realization. It's like being a life coach, being a psychologist, just like, let's have a conversation about this. You sort of like know the answer maybe, but it's not clear to them. And the thing is, these beings are stuck to you, and they might not be aware, or they can't get away from you, or like they identify and think that they are you when they're not. And if you give them that awareness that they're separate, they don't have to be with you, they will leave on their own free will. Or you can kick them out once you're done with the whole method. So basically, having a conversation, sometimes these beings will not want to talk. You ask the question and nothing happens. You don't get the answer. You don't feel anything, like quiet as can be. A lot of times when that happens, when you're talking to entities and other aspects, if they have no answer at all, they have a higher up that does not want them to talk. And it's usually a threat or something that holds them from talking. My lips are sealed. And if I say a word, I'm going to be killed, or my family's going to suffer, or other things. And that's when you sort of like offer them a place where they would be safe and vulnerable. Well, no one will find them, and they can have their whole family and whatever in there. It's like, okay, no one will find this place, and you just create it, imagine it like with a previous step, or, where we create a role for them, you can do that. And then ask them a question like, well, who's your boss? And they're like, well, there's this reptilian that really doesn't like you. And, it's making sure like lots of clusters of entities are going to be there in your life to mess you up. And, there it is. Maybe an aspect of you that's constantly attracting narcissistic people in your life. And you talk that aspect and, you ask the question and like, well, my boss wants to fuck with you and wants to make sure that you never find anyone that you can connect with. And even if you do find, they're going to hurt you like crazy. And my boss really wants you to suffer. And you're like, okay. So you have an idea, you might ask who their boss is, they might describe it to you, or you're sort of like, yeah, well, there's this reptilian, maybe a gray, maybe like another human being from your past life or whatever. And you're like, well, now I have an idea. And with that, like in mind, there's this higher up and you have like, okay, you got enough information about them. Think of them again, going to Galactic Vacuum, burning them up, getting rid of them, kicking them out, breaking any agreements you have with them, and literally go have a conversation. See what the hell is your problem. Maybe you have done something that triggered that being and now they're after you. Maybe, they've been after you ever since, you got into the physical universe and you just need to make a deal or fight it out or find a way to get out of this. But anyway, communication with these entities, it's just being curious and trying not to judge, like, you motherfucker, I'm gonna like da 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 da. Like there's a lot of things that we can say to these entities, and usually people shout, people tell them to shut the hell up and something else. Well, it's basically like, shoot, for a moment, they're going to get away and they're going to come back and they will try to trigger you because, hey, you're responding and this is fun. So, like more like communicating and finding why they're with you. Maybe you have a common agreement. Maybe you like have low worth, low self-esteem, and like, hey, I just don't feel good about myself, I have doubt or whatever else issues you have, like I don't know, like I feel like this world sucks. These entities that are in your space, they feel this world sucks as well. So mutual agreements, they're going to amplify your feeling states. And it's like, hell, you have to break whatever's common in between you. If they're sticking to you because of the common beliefs and like thoughts, you have to get it out of your space. So like, hey, if you think like you're lazy and you don't want to work out, these entities are also lazy. They're going to stick to you. So like you have to change your lifestyle. You have to change who you are. You have to just do it. Doesn't matter if you like it or not, want it or not. Like if you do that thing, your life is going to get better. Just fucking start. And these entities are like, what the hell are you doing? I don't like this. And they're going to leave your space. Because instead of hating yourself, instead of feeling doubt and anxiety, you start loving yourself. You start enjoying life a little bit. And they're like hating this place. And you're like, it's not so bad after all. And you might be just eating a slice of pizza, watching TV. And for a moment there, your life is really good. You're just enjoying that 1 hour maybe. And these entities like can't handle that crap. They can't handle you being happy and stuff. So whatever issues you might have in common, if you can change your ways about life, and for a moment, your beliefs about changes, like they're going to leave your space. So there's a whole lot more, thousands and millions of techniques probably, and you can find it all on YouTube and internet and everything else. But these are just a few that I thought about sharing today. So hopefully you're going to get something out of it. Try it out. And please leave some of the things you do to get them out of your space as well. So leave that in the comments so that others can find it and help get some help. So with that being said, thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.